Hi guys, it's Jake the Man. So as some of you may know, a new controversy has arisen between more of a large world power and a middle power, where obviously we've seen it in Russia and Ukraine, which is still an ongoing war, stagnated a little, but still quite violent. But now it's one between China and Taiwan. Now, it's pretty obvious that China and Taiwan have an extremely rough and divisive history, and since Taiwan also knows the Republic of China, since it's still a similar KMT government that fled during the Chinese Civil War, for over the past almost 70 years, they've engaged in more of a sovereignty battle where they're trying to where they're debating who is the real China or not, or the legitimate government of China. And the PRC claims it holds sovereignty rights over both countries, while Taiwan claims that it still has legitimate control over China itself, and also Mongolia, but that's not as important. Now, even if you say that Taiwan doesn't have the right as the real China anymore, I kind of disagree with that statement, but it's still hard to deny that Taiwan is an independent nation and very separate from the rest of China. But despite this, China has still held claims over to Taiwan, and it's recognized by most countries that they're still part of their territory, but that doesn't mean much, except for when China is trying to get involved with its diplomatic affairs. Because recently, Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, visited Taiwan to discuss diplomatic matters, and China was infuriated by this, and they decided to issue warnings threatening military action. They also said that it was undermining the sovereignty or the territorial integrity of China by visiting Taiwan without their permission, even though they really don't need a permission. It's not part of your territory. And they've even issued military exercises around the strait between Taiwan and mainland China, where some military exercises are being conducted. There's air forces are trying to prepare along the boundaries between where the Taiwanese airspace and the Chinese airspace is. They're kind of like testing it over the line. These recent tensions have also increased the probability of a war between China and Taiwan, more specifically an invasion from the PRC. And it's also in an event of a war, it would probably be much more brutal than any war between Russia and Ukraine. Mainly because the first reason is because they're fighting with their navies, and the second one is, unlike Ukraine, America is obligated to defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. So it would probably be the most probable cause for a war free. Now, we don't want that to happen, but the CCP seems to not care as much, saying that their military won't stand by if they keep on doing official diplomatic services with the U.S., at least for Taiwan. And other Asian countries seem to be catching on to China's intentions, which they feel like if they're gonna get rid of a country that's against their communist government, well, at least authoritarian government, they're willing to use force to put it down. Now, in terms of Nancy Pelosi, I'm honestly not a big fan of her. I think she's an incompetent leader, and she doesn't exactly know what she's doing. Kind of like Joe Biden, but this time it's more intentional. But at least she stood up against the CCP, which many countries, and even today, within the last decade, we haven't really been doing a good job. We've been more subordinate to China. And I do agree that it has to stop, because the aggression will only go so far, and eventually it will lead us to another war where millions of people could die. So, yeah, I do think the visit was completely justifiable. It was just like any other diplomatic visit, but because it was such a high-ranking American official, traveling with their own friends and a few secretaries, it seems like China can perceive it as a major threat. And that gives it an excuse to start building up its military near the maritime boundaries. So, and also this could even lead to an even bigger problem, and I'm wondering how other nations will see this, because they officially have to say that, well, Taiwan is part of China, but Taiwan isn't really any part of sphere of influence under the CCP at all, and they don't really have any jurisdiction over it, like barely at all. It's kind of, they call it autonomous region, but it's not even Hong Kong. It's a independent country, and China's trying to assert its control. And who knows what else this can lead to, because now they're trying to other countries are now claiming other parts of land. I have a feeling the majority of the nations will back Taiwan, at least the Western ones, but obviously countries like Russia see it as a good decision for China to issue these threats, as, you know, they supposedly have the right to do so. And yeah, some of this is ridiculous, but that's honestly what's in the minds of their communist government. They really don't care, and they're trying to probably spread propaganda to its people. So it's kind of hard to fix, and yeah, we're not sure what would happen, but it seems like the consequences might be quite severe. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about the threat of war between the two nations and what this visit by Nancy Pelosi means for both of China and Taiwan relations, and also with the USA for that matter. And it's kind of interesting how this could increase, it could escalate, but who knows. And I also want to mention that there's a new Discord server that I'm part of. It's called the CPO. It's made up of a few small YouTuber creators, but still think it's pretty good and probably deserves way more credit for all the things it does. So if a few of you might want to join, I might put a link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.